Like I say, I worry a little bit when you've got tracks for females, leopards, and dung and those kind of things that hyenas are potentially following them. So while I negotiate this thicket, and before we lose reception by dropping down into the drainage again, let's go back across to James Henry, who's being just like that hyena and is skulking about on Djuma Game Reserve.
Compared with the hyena, I must say, I'm not sure if that's a bad thing, given how varied opinions are on hyenas. We are approaching Treehouse Dam, where there appears to be nothing very thirsty except the ubiquitous Egyptian goose, which are now flying away. There they are, they've landed on top of the dam wall. Out here. Sorry about that. I believe that one of the Styx lionesses, they suspect cubs somewhere around here. And so that's why we came down this way. We're a little bit far from Tundi to get to her, or to get to that area to help out with the tracking before the end of the drive. So we're just going to continue around here. We think that the original Tingana tracks we were following crossed into Arathusa. And so now we're just basically seeing what we can find. I was rather hoping we'd catch an elephant bull, perhaps having a bit of a drink down here. There were some nice elephants around yesterday, so maybe we'll be lucky. But regardless, let's go and see what the water's edge has to offer us. Strong breeze blowing in from the southeast, indicating that the cold weather and wet weather that has gripped the country for the last little while is just not quite finished yet, which is great news actually. Alrighty, let's see what we've got over here. What do you see, Herbert? Lautor, nothing, he says. Alright, well what we've got is a whole lot of algae. There it is. And of course without algae, which many of us think of as fairly slimy and disgusting, we wouldn't be able to breathe, believe it or not. The anaerobic algae, cyanobacteria, etc., are what gave us oxygen. And without it, of course, the atmosphere that we breathe today would have no oxygen in it. It would just be carbon dioxide. And so millions and millions of years ago, in fact billions of years ago, as life began, it turned our atmosphere, this stuff did, or relatives of this stuff, into the oxygenated atmosphere that we have now, which I always think is quite nice. And so every time I feel, oh, that's disgusting, when there's a green pool or something I want to swim in, I remember that without those things it would not be possible for me to survive. There are lots and lots of dragonflies as well around. I'm not going to ask Seb to try and film one unless one settles somewhere. But I've always found the sight of dragonflies hunting, it's such a summer kind of scene, and reminds me of sort of relaxed days by a river or by a pool. Anna Marie, you're wondering about my favourite bird. Here's one, Seb, right next to my left foot. Oh, there, stop. There it is, right in front of you. Anna Marie, you're saying, have I seen any white-browed scrub robins since I got back? No, but I certainly have heard them. You got him. Isn't that gorgeous? That is fantastic. Well done, Seb. I don't know which dragonfly this is, but what you can see, if you look at him carefully, is the arrangement of his legs. And those legs are brilliant. The back one's the longest, middle one's the middle length, and the front one's shortest. And they form a basket. And with that basket, this dragonfly will pull little invertebrates and things out of this, or off the surface of the water. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm not sure if you got that bit about the basket. Did you get that bit about the...
Sorry about that, everyone. James has vanished off your screen. I have to say, I think Mila's the most reliable. Are you not, Mila? When it comes to signal. Okay, so I give up on the mystery animal. We'll either find out because somebody will report a sighting of something peculiar in this area, or we won't. I'm now starting to question my own sanity. Thank goodness Craig saw it too. So I just did a quick nip past the giraffe kill from a few days ago. For those of you that missed it, there was a big male leopard in this area, the shepherd's tree male, and true to form, can't help but check where he was lying, true to form, he climbed a shepherd's tree. But not only did he climb a shepherd's tree, he put something in it. Something very, very unusual. Now, unfortunately, that is all that is left of his particular meal. But to see an entire giraffe carcass in a tree is a rare sight indeed, and very special. I think he lost most of it to the hyenas. It was dangling by a sort of string of skin when I left it, and I think he's lost most of it and he's abandoned the rest. So that giraffe leg will probably sit up there for a long time to come, unless it is discovered by a bird. I once worked with somebody who he worked at a different camp to the one that I was in most of the time. I only ever ran his camp when he was on leave. But he every time he drove guests to that particular camp, it was a bush camp, there was no power, it was tents, no electricity, no signal, it was lovely. But every time he drove past an impala leg in a tree, his favorite joke was, that impala climbed the tree and then got stuck there. He, 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 he. And of course there was always one person who fed into it and believed him. Impalas can climb trees? And it was always up to me to disabuse them of that notion, because he never told them the truth. And it was not uncommon for me to see them the next day and they'd go, I had no idea that impalas climb trees. They don't. Very popular guiding joke. Julie, it is a strange sight, isn't it? It really is. And I mean, it's strange because we don't see it. We hardly ever see it. There are a few recorded cases. There are a few photographs floating about of leopards with giraffe kills, but it's unusual. As for where the culprit's gone, I suspect he's long moved off. Big male leopard, big dominant male leopard. I suspect he'll be out patrolling his territory. I did try yesterday though. I drove all around this area. I circled backwards and forwards, checked under most bushes. But you saw how he was hidden away, how he was tucked away when we first found him. And the painful question that Craig raised that I was trying not to think about yesterday was just how many leopards we drive past, right next to the road, when they're tucked away, hidden in a bush, especially as the grass gets longer. I wonder how many I've driven past in my guiding career. Thousands? All of us. Especially in a place like this where you can't track, so you don't even know if you're looking for them or not. It's just not feasible to examine each and every single patch of vegetation for a sleeping leopard. But it becomes very distressing when you start to consider the exact numbers. There are no, as far as I know, no colobus monkeys in the Masai Mara itself. So colobus monkeys are canopy-dwelling monkeys. So the closest that we might find one would be up on the top of the escarpment there is in the forests that are around this area. Now those forests are rapidly disappearing. as a result of essentially charcoal and space. But up in the forests, maybe there might be the odd colobus wandering around. I saw colobus monkeys in Uganda, in the botanical gardens. I was very excited. My first thought was a black colobus monkey when I saw it, briefly. It flashed so fast through my vision that I never really got a good look at it, but my thought was colobus. Just had that look to it, long-limbed. And colobus monkeys very seldom come down from the canopy onto the ground. So how one would be... It's not possible. It's not possible for one to be in the middle of the plains of the Masai Mara. Is it? Never say anything's impossible in nature, because nature will go out of her way to prove you wrong. It's one of those laws of life. But they're very cool, colobus monkeys. I'd show you a picture, but again, it's through a pair of binoculars, so it was not particularly spectacular. But they look like they're wearing graduation gowns. They've got this sort of outline of white, fluffy, beautiful fur around their black fur. And it looks like the collaring of a graduation, some kind of university graduation gown. And then these massive white tips to their tail, which that thing did not have. I really don't know. We'll never know. All I can promise you is that I saw it, and that I'm as baffled as you are. The ranger on the back with us didn't have a clue what it was. He'd never seen anything like it. I'll tell you what, I'll try and show you a picture of a colobus monkey. Let me give my screen a bit of a clean, because I touched it with diesel fingers this morning. Where are you? No, that's a Tarako. It's beautiful. It's definitely the best picture I've ever taken. Hands down. What do you think, Manu? I'm going to win awards for that one, aren't I? Oh yeah. Here's the picture of the colobus that I saw in Uganda. I'm such a talented photographer. It's a wonder more people don't recognize it. I didn't have a camera lens. Yes, Ghost, it is meant to be blurry. It's my artistic interpretation of what a monkey should look like. It's called motion and stillness. I'm sorry. It was impossible. Standing like this with binoculars. Like this. Peering through my screen. Trying to keep still. And Brent wouldn't keep still to use as a tripod either, because he was trying to take a picture. The artist's struggle indeed. People will recognize my work, but probably long after my lifetime. I don't know, Manu, is the answer to that question. Oh, no, don't go. It's very pretty, with a very rufous belly. Okay. So, what have we got here? Beautiful raptor. Young-looking raptor. Oh! Lilac-breasted roller coming in. My bird book is frozen. There's a problem with using electronic ones. But my other bird book is in desperate need of some gaffer tape. Well, it's furious. Gregory, you suggested a juvenile crowned eagle. It's not an eagle. It's not a bad guess, but it's not an eagle. It's far too small, first of all. Crowned eagle is actually, by weight, the largest eagle that we could see in this area. Larger even than the marshal, although the marshal's got a larger wingspan. The giveaway was the legs that don't have feathers all the way down to the feet. My first thought was a female Montagu's Harrier, but I've changed my mind on that. And then I thought maybe a juvenile, but I don't think it's that either. What am I trying? There's one other thing I want to look up. Western banded snake eagle, immature. Ooh. I mean, that little crest. A lot of you apparently commenting that its face looks like an owl. That face is so familiar. I'm missing something. I'm missing something obvious. I also thought about I thought about an immature west-banded snake eagle, but I don't think the banding on the belly is sufficient for it to be that. That face is familiar. Not an immature black-chested snake eagle, that's for sure. Project Alpha says a snake eagle, brew. I don't know, brew. Which one? You think it's an immature western banded snake? He looks snake eagle-ish. I'll give you that. I will agree with that. Pale bill. Doesn't look bright yellow. Can we go back? Sorry, Manu. Can we go back to it? Or does it have feathers all the way down to its legs? Hold on. That changes things, if it does. It's very pretty, and it's got a very juvenile look to it. I feel like I'm missing something. Is it feeding on something? Or is it just moving its bill? It's not a harrier. It does kind of look like an owl when it faces us like that. It's not an owl, by the way, for our new viewers who are unfamiliar with the whole birding process. It's most definitely not an owl. It just looks like it's quite angry. Any suggestions, anyone? It's tiny. Should we go try and get a bit closer to it? Where is it? It's there. Don't fly away. It was pretty tolerant with us earlier. Robin suggested an African hawk eagle, a juvenile, perhaps? Let's get a bit closer and have another look. Being naughty. What's going to be easiest for you with the roof, Manu? Sideways. Sideways is best. Where's the sun? There. Oh no. I've done a bad thing. Sitting on a nest. That, I suspect, is its nest. Whoa. There's a bit of a bumpy stop. Juvenile hawk eagle? No, it's not. Too small for juvenile marshal. I mean, it is quite. Very brown. I also feel like I've seen this bird before, Kirst. In flight, it looks like a snake eagle. See, this was my first thought. Hold on. Snake eagle, bro. The immature western banded snake eagle was my first thought. But there's a white... What was that? Sorry, Kirst, you broke up a little bit there. I heard consulting detective. Black-breasted... Okay, so consulting detective says black-breasted snake eagle. Black-breasted snake eagle juveniles don't tend to have that degree of mottling. Hence why I went with western. So if we have a look at the I guess there's just so much more white on it, or looked like there was so much more white. But I do agree with the bill. I don't think so. I feel like it was closer to... It just, there wasn't enough yellow on the bill. But there was more white around the belly. I'm not certain. I'm honestly not certain as to which particular juvenile raptors are always particularly tricky. My instinct was initially western banded. Tell you what, we've got screenshots of it. Let's all keep researching. I'll keep researching. And I'll send it to Brent and Tristan and see what they think as well. I'm definitely inclined to go with juvenile. I'm pretty sure snake eagle. Given the shape of it in flight, very square tail. Wait, what have I done? I've made a mistake. I missed my bird book, but it's in pieces at the moment. It didn't have any banding on its tail. Where'd you go? Okay, let's find. I've got it again. Let's go back and have another look. Except now it's into the sun, which is going to make things more tricky. Casually just cross the road. Oh, it's getting hard to drive fast off-road now. Grass is too long. Maybe I'll find my mystery creature while we try and figure this bird out. Maybe it's all a sign. Michelle, we're too far from water, I would have said, for an osprey. I haven't seen an osprey in the Mara yet. I know people have seen them before. I actually haven't seen an osprey in years. Look how pale it is. There really is a huge amount of white on it. But sometimes drawings in bird books are deceptive. That little crest is bugging me. Poofy head. Is there a family I'm not thinking of that I should be thinking of? Little fuzzy crest. So much white, so much mottled white. Definitely no feathers down to the foot. And definitely too brown for an osprey. That face is snake eagle-y, is it not? I don't know. I am open to suggestions. I still feel something is saying to me snake eagle. Size, shape of the face, but that grey bill is confusing me. What families am I forgetting? So we've got two people saying, and I think it was, did you say Sazelle? So we've got 2 votes for black-chested snake eagle now. Fizzle. Fizzle? Fizzle. Fizzle. I cannot hear. But yes. So we've got 2 votes for black-chested snake eagle juvenile. That would be the most common bird that we see in terms of snake eagles. So yes, that would be the highest possibility. The amount of white on the belly let's have a look again. Let me just read the description rather than looking at the drawing. You see, there's so much white on the top of the head. Immature is totally different, being dark brownish above, with some pale fringes and pale rufous below. Often with a whitish face. Yeah, whitish. But look at the speckling on the top of its head. Unless it is really, really a very young snake eagle. I'm going to sit and go through every possible bird species that this could possibly be, for I am tired of mysteries in this area. This is the area of mysteries. While I figure it out, let's go across to James, who has a puzzle of his own to solve over the identity of an ant.
This ant can be identified as the drop-tailed ant on account of the fact that it has, Seb, altogether now, a dropped tail. See that? Now, the only way to view an animal like this is to get it caught up in the hairs of your arm. Otherwise, it starts to run at a tremendous speed. But you can see how its abdomen is facing down. And it's the same one we found yesterday. We found a similar one. Tell me when I should move the other way. And we found a whole nest of them going about their business, trying to find things to eat. And they are carnivorous as far as I'm aware. Is he gone?
Yeah, it's stopped now in your hand. It's cleaning itself.
Wonderful.
From your hair.
He's now cleaning. He's now cleaning his antenna. He's deeply dissatisfied, obviously. No, there he is. He's trying to figure out the reason he's cleaning his antenna is they're obviously not telling him where he's supposed to be going. He can't figure out why he's stuck in a totally unfamiliar environment. Isn't he nice? He will bite as well. They have got quite a nasty bite. But at the moment I haven't agitated him to the extent that he wants to bite me. Emily, you say you feel itchy now. Well, yeah, I can imagine. He is quite itchy, but you see, most of the time he's not actually touching my skin. He's just walking on my hairs. Amazing how, as the hair has receded off my head, so it has become that much thicker everywhere else. Depressing.
In your hand.
Alright, shall we put him down? Now we're sitting here at what we call Njela pan, which means frog pan. And I wanted to show you a frog earlier, but unfortunately we lost signal. It was a sand frog, a knocking sand frog. And I was rather hoping we might find one or two here. We have not. There are a number of different dragonflies here though, and the reason we go from waterhole to waterhole in the summer is that during afternoons often animals come to drink, often leopards as well. And so we thought we might be able to find leopard tracks here, but we have not. And it's just very pleasant sitting here peacefully. We've got woodland kingfishers calling about us. We've got a green-backed bleating warbler. Choop, 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 choop. We've got a crested barbet. And it is exactly the kind of place that you'd want to come at this time of the morning. Mating dragonflies. Come on, Seb.
Only they would. land.
I don't think they'll land doing that. I know I've explained this to you before, but let me just tell you how this works while Seb tries to catch them with the camera. A dragonfly mates. It is the most remarkable thing. This one, that couple there is laying eggs. I don't know, you getting it at all?
Well,
sort of.
It's flying around.
Yes.
In the frame. Yeah, I've got them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the male there has grabbed the female behind the back of her head. He's got these two pincers at the back of his abdomen that he uses to grab her behind the back of her head, and then he flies off with her. So he holds her there, and then she twists her abdomen up underneath his to his opening. I suppose it might be called the cloaca, and that is where the exchange of semen takes place. So she takes the sperm from him there, and then she lays the eggs. You see them dipping down into the water. What's happening is that every time her abdomen touches the water, she's laying an egg. And the egg then drops down to the bottom of the floor and probably attaches, hopefully, to some vegetation, and then it will hatch as a larva, and it lives under the water as a larva. I forget what they eat. They're probably, I wonder if they're not vegetarians as larvae. I think they are. I think the larvae are vegetarian, and then it will eventually pupate into the adult dragonfly, which will emerge. Now, obviously, that is a slightly incomplete story, but that's basically what happens with the dragonflies, and they are astounding creatures, especially that mating process where she kind of is minding her own business, sitting on a piece of vegetation. He'll fly up behind her, grab her behind the neck, and fly off, and that's how the mating takes place. Isn't that astounding? I think it's pretty astounding. Herbert can hear some alarm calling. He says he can hear some alarm calling bushbuck. So we're going to follow up on that. While we do that, let's send you back to Jamie, who appears to have solved one of the mysteries that she has.
Okay, so the consensus generally seems to be a juvenile black-chested snake eagle, which I concur with, having looked at the pictures, having been sent the pictures that you guys were sending through, and I do appreciate it, which would make Faisal absolutely correct. There's one thing that's baffling me, and that's the tail. And what I saw briefly in flight was that, oh look, I suppose it's a juvenile, and I don't know what an adult, I do know what an adult black-chested snake eagle looks like in flight, but I don't know what a juvenile black-chested snake eagle looks in flight. But, to me, the band on the bottom of the tail looked quite thick, which would fit more with a western banded snake eagle. But when in doubt, when identifying birds, it's usually the more common of the, when you think it's an exception to the rule, it isn't, most of the time. And the black-chested snake eagle is far more common here. One thing we could try, because I do agree. That was a black-chested snake eagle. Cool. So no response to the western banded snake eagle either. Okay. Black-chested snake eagle is the more likely answer. The tail's confusing me, but I'm inclined to go with the majority rule on this one, and the more likely of the two, given the number of black-chested snake eagles, and given that rufous patch looks like a chest. It looks more solid than the banding on a western banded snake eagle. So we'll go with black-chested snake eagle. Yep, and that's what it thinks of my assessment. I couldn't agree more. Fair enough, bird. I'm going to send an angry letter to... Quick, can we see its tail? Can we see its tail? Can we see under its tail? Oh, Manu, good try. No. Don't spread your tail when you turn. No. I concur. Black-chested. From what I can see underneath its tail. In a very, very dusty monitor. Okay. Thinnish bands, I'm guessing, it looks like, which would veer more towards the black-chested snake eagle. Well done, everyone. We've solved one mystery of the morning, I think. Yep. I don't know. Juveniles. Juvenile raptors. Whitish, lightly streaked head and largely dirty white below, with variable bars and smudges. Let's go with a more common answer. Black-chested snake eagle, be more likely. Agree. In fact, more attractive than the adult black-chested snake eagle. I concur. Very, very pretty bird. Should we go with that? It's a pretty bird, everyone. Jacqueline, hybridization in bird species, in raptor species like that is very, very unlikely. So I hear what you're saying. Could it be a cross between the two? It would be a hugely convenient answer for me. But no, it's very unlikely. You heard how different the calls were between the black-chested and the western banded. They are so disparate in terms of looks, in terms of calls. And calls, I mean, when you look at things like larks or cisticolas or those sorts of very plain colored birds where there's a very, very slight difference between the species, twitchers and ornithologists around the world have spent many days and months and weeks and however long they've spent, in years at times, identifying individuals through their calls and through just subtle differences on their feathers. So no, unlikely to be a crossbreed, although I like that answer. I would love to go with that answer. It would really, what's the word? It would save face for me. But no, I would be lying if I went with that option. So both western banded and black-chested snake eagles occur here. Black-chested far more common. We see them on this road all the time. It is the most likely answer. We can all agree it's a snake eagle. Phew, thank goodness. But that's, I agree, black-chested snake eagle. It's also a difficult day for birding, light-wise. Got your name, and I got bird, and the rest was from cursed. So we've had the odd problem with our radios. No, I still think I'm mishearing it. Most attractive? No, I can't. What is the most captive bird in Africa? Like a pet bird? Did I get... Okay, I got it. Very sadly, there's a few different species of birds that are kept captive, and I'm going to upset a few people because I know we have lots of South African viewers and it's very common as a pet in South Africa. The western grey parrot, or the African grey parrot. The African grey parrot, I saw wild flocks of them in Uganda, and it was beautiful to see them wild. But they're a very, very common pet species within the pet trade, and it's a threat to them. Lovebirds, parakeets, those are the sorts of birds that are generally traded as pets, but it is I would say the African grey parrot that probably faces the biggest threat due to the exotic pet trade. One of the things that exotic pet trade, it's one of the biggest illegal trades in the world. Let's not include smuggling of animal parts. We're not talking about pangolin scales. We're not talking about rhino horn or elephant tusks. We're talking about the transport of live animals for people to keep as pets. And it shocks me how many people have savanna cats, which is a mixture between a serval and a domestic cat. It surprises me. And you'll have to forgive me if you are someone who has an exotic pet. I don't see the point to it. We have dogs, cats, horses. You can get a teacup pig. Why we need to have an animal? It's a status symbol. No, maybe not so much with parrots. I understand parrots are... But when I see a parrot in a cage or a parrot on a little stand, when you see how social African greys are, when you see them talking to each other, chirp, 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 all the time from the trees, this constant communication, they're social birds. For them to get caught and then kept as one lone animal, it's no wonder that they form a bond with a person, and they hate other people, and they're difficult pets, and they're long-lived pets, and it's quite tragic. Hedgehogs, all sorts of animals that just shouldn't be kept as pets. And I'm just as guilty. When I was a kid, I wanted... Ooh. Funny sounds coming from this car. I'm just going to ignore it and pretend it's not happening. So as we continue on our search for our cheetah, talking about pet trades, fortunately there are very few people left in the world who have pet cheetahs, because as Brent will show you and Brent will tell you, they absolutely belong in the wild.
They will, and if I find the people with pet cheetahs, they'll be in trouble. But this is definitely not a pet cheetah. This is, I'm not sure who. So we were looking for the 5 boys, and we found what I think is a single female. She's lying in the grass at the moment, so it's difficult to be 100% sure whether it's a female or a male. So I'm not sure which cheetah this is. It's definitely not one of the females I know well. So not Malika, not Miale, and I'm going to have to go send some photos off to figure out which cheetah this might be. But very exciting, and another very exciting thing is she is hungry. So Jahawi and I have found our spot to play the patience game. We've been playing it, and hopefully this time, well, yesterday was very nice, though, but hopefully she gets up a bit earlier today, because we are heading home at some point today. I say some point, we don't know when exactly, and it's the wonderful thing about being out here and being able to do those action broadcasts, is that we stick to the animal schedule rather than to ours. Now, there are quite a lot of animals around in the distance. Nothing close to her at the moment, apart from some buffalo, which are well out of her sphere of being able to catch. And cheetah don't really like buffalo too much. They can give them quite a hard time. There we go, isn't that? And we can hear the constant call of the rufous Nate Lark. Now, as I said, I don't know this cheetah well. You guys have seen more cheetah because you've been with all of us in different cheetah sightings. So if anyone has got any ideas who this cheetah might be, hashtag Safari Live. It could be Musiara. It could be Amani. I think it looks a bit too old to be Imani, or maybe. I haven't seen her before. Jamie has. I think actually Jamie saw her not too far from this area. having a bit of a snooze in the grass at the moment. But so if you have any idea which cheetah this is, I would love to hear. And I say we're going to have to probably wait till she stands up to get a really good idea of who she is. Well, that's the wonderful thing about being out here. I mean, we were looking for the 5 boys, and we found a lovely little girl. Jana says, cheetah are pure elegance. Indeed they are. What have we got flying in here to come inspect? It's a vulture. Can't really see yet. No, it looks like it's a tawny eagle. Tawny eagle coming to make sure that she didn't have any food with her. Because often tawnies are often way before the vultures when it comes to finding carcasses. Now it seems like Mr. Tristan is on a birding mission.
Because Tandy staring at a red-backed shrike. I think it's the first one we've got on the first one that we've got on captive. For those of you that like the birds, they're amazing. So I apologize about that we had a little communication.
Righty, we're on our way towards the Vuyatela Dam now. I'm sorry we lost signal there with old T-Bomb. I'm not sure what happened to him there, but we do have a few troubles with the towers here at the moment, and only the bushwalk seems to be performing the way it should. Herbert, could you describe this to us in Italian, please? Speak it into here.
Cacatona di ristorante.
Cacatone di ristorante. Cacatone di ristorante. In other words, the dung midden of a rhinoceros. Herbert is now sitting on the ground, finding himself most amusing. Anyway, let's see what else we can find in here. What is interesting, other than the fact that this is a giant pile of rhino dung, is that there is some impala dung here. And I think, oh, that's why. There is impala dung to the side. And obviously what this rhino has done is he's come and he's made his deposit and then scraped the dung and mixed it with an impala midden. And what I'm hoping to find here was a beetle or two. Ooh. You know, once you can get over the fact that you are now basically wrist deep in dung, it really does become quite fascinating. Look at how rich this compost is. I mean, you put that on your vegetable patch and it'll grow for years. I'm amazed how few beetles there are here. None, in fact. And I wonder if that isn't because most of these deposits were made, you know, before the beetles got up and started moving. I think also a lot of the good stuff that the beetles would eat has been taken and buried already, and what's left behind is just the indigestible kind of cellulose and lignin and structural material of the plant. It's quite a nice sofa, actually. You know, when I was a young man and my father said to me, "What is it that you want to achieve with your life, James?" I don't think that I ever thought about telling him that at aged 41 I would be sitting on a Monday morning on a pile of rhinoceros dung. I think if I'd said to him, "My one burning ambition, Father, is to take all the money that you've spent on my education and use it so that I might affect my life to the point that I may sit on a rhino midden on Monday mornings," I think he'd have been slightly disappointed. However, I think he's quite jealous of the fact that I live over here on Monday morning. I'm not sitting in traffic, but sitting on a turd. Marvellous. Let's go across to Jamie, who's not sitting on a turd. She's looking at a big bird.
It's always valuable to have very high ambitions in life. Moving rapidly onwards from that particular statement, I need your help. Another mystery bird. Whatever could this be? My goodness me. I'm so confused. I just can't quite work it out. I mean, should we go through the bird book list? We've got dark feathers on the top and white feathers on the bottom. It's quite a big bird. No, I'm joking. Yay, look, it's a bird I can identify. The largest bird in the world that happens to be relatively flightless, surrounded by... Oh, what were those? I didn't quite catch those at a distance. So this male ostrich is following along... Oh, hold on. The wind is howling. They look like drongos. Looks like fork-tailed drongos in the foreground. So the wind is howling. And the fork-tailed drongos, it is fork-tailed drongos. Oh no, I'm in the way of the one car that I've seen to... Poor indeed. Okay. What are we talking about? Oh yes, this male ostrich following behind the female. I do apologize for the breakup in our audio. I don't quite know why that happened, but it happened. So I sincerely apologize. We seem to be back up and running though, as far as I can tell, Bex. Are you hearing me loud and clear? So there's the female, and one of my distinct ambitions on these live safaris would be to show you some little baby ostriches. An idea that seems to become less and less easy to achieve. James has said his goal is to sit on a pile of dung. My goal is to show you a group of little ostriches. But it becomes harder to accomplish the longer the grass gets, because they are tiny and very, very camouflaged. Not so long ago, just before I went on leave, we even saw a lioness with an ostrich egg in her mouth. Interesting question from Mike. Mike, you want to know if this bird ever flew? The ostrich ancestors. I'm inclined to say no, but perhaps if we went far enough back, maybe there was an ancestor of the ostrich that flew. You're going to get me into trouble, Mike. Somebody will be upset with me if I talk about millennia. I'm not sure, Mike. It's a good question in terms of the evolutionary background of an ostrich. I'm quite inclined to say that no, the drongo's having the best time. But I'm really not sure. It's something I can research and find out pretty quickly, I would say. I'm sure we could find out about the background of the ostrich. And of course, if we go far enough back, dinosaurs, and I mean a lot of research now is suggesting a lot of the dinosaurs, most of the dinosaurs would have been feathered, particularly those belonging to the later eras. And there is something prehistoric about ostriches, but I confess, in terms of evolutionary background on ostriches, I'm not sure. It brings us to the question of did the emu's ancestor once fly? Or what is the other one? Cassowary. It still amazes me that there was once a war against emus in Australia. Well, a war is how it's been termed, the Great Emu War. And the emus won. Dave, where would one find an ostrich egg? On the ground in a nest. So ostriches are ground nesting birds. The male and the female take turns to incubate their eggs, but they do build hollows in the ground where they lay a collection of eggs. The eggs, as you can imagine, are enormous. You're looking at about the size, what ball could we compare that to? Bigger than a baseball? Just a bit bigger than a baseball? Not really sure how big a baseball is. But bigger than that. Smaller than a basketball, smaller than a football or a soccer ball if you are, like as we are, we term it soccer rather than football, but smaller than a football, larger than a tennis ball, quite a large egg. One mouthful for a lioness. You'd find them on the ground. I found many ostrich nests in my time as a guide. I've not found one in the Mara. I didn't manage what the lioness managed, although I think that egg had been abandoned. I don't think it was a good egg. I think it had long since gone bad, hadn't hatched, because even the lioness didn't want to eat it. For those animals that can and do raid ostrich eggs, it is a valuable source of nutrients. The equivalent, I think it's the equivalent of 24 average sized chicken eggs would be the size of an ostrich egg. Very hard shell. When I was a kid, I was allowed to stand on an ostrich egg, a solid ostrich egg, to test out just how strong it was, and it supported my weight. I don't know if that would still apply now. My size, probably. But it did support my weight. I wonder where on earth I was. I don't know where that memory comes from. I know I stood on an ostrich egg, but for the life of me I can't remember where. So we'll have to try and find you an ostrich nest. It's one of the things that we're very cautious about when we move through an area off-road, especially when the grass is long. You'll see when we drive, we're not just looking over the bonnet or the hood, because we're looking to see that we don't fall into a hole. We're also constantly watching the behavior of the animals around us, birds especially, lapwings. As soon as we see a lapwing upset with us for some reason, we're very, very cautious about the way in which we drive around that area. And Tristan, I know, has shown you the nest site of the 3 banded plovers that then hatched. It was adorable, tiny little chicks, but it's difficult to see. So that's why we use the behavior of the adults around us to help us work out whether or not there's anything that we should be cautious of. I want to ask these people who are on their way towards us if they've seen a cheetah. Oh, Jono, I actually saw this yesterday and I didn't manage to get it on camera because they were so far away and then they stopped doing it. Yes, ostriches do display their feathers or splay their feathers when they are courting. And the males do this amazing little dance, so do the females, where they bend forward and they pick their wings up and they do this little... Is it beautiful? That's my ostrich impression. Those people must think I'm mad. They are not wrong. So that's ostriches do. They do a little dance. Ostriches can be phenomenally entertaining, particularly when you get a large group of them and the females are competing for the male's access. They essentially start to look like, good morning. They really do look like something out of Fantasia, with the dancing ostriches, the ballet dancing ostriches. But they do indeed. What you'll also see is when the male is courting a female or when the male is competing with another male, they flush bright pink. It's a very, very clear sign that they've got something on their mind other than simply feeding or wandering about. Speaking of clear signs from males, this is going to be a confusing link, but we'll go with it. Speaking of clear signs from males, James is with an antelope where the males are particularly enthusiastic when it comes to mating time.
Yes, I suppose they are. There are some impala. They're the same things we opened today's safari with, and they're standing opposite the Djuma Dam, where I'm pretty sure they've already had their morning drink. And it's again much like the feeling that I got at that pan a little earlier, at pan, frog pan. It was just one of, the day's kind of calming down now. This would be a good place to sit and have your morning, I suppose, breakfast, really. It's the only time you can have breakfast in the morning. You know what I mean. Down to the water there, we have got 2 Egyptian gooses and a hardy dar ibis, which is doing a great job of finding little things to eat right on the shoreline. I'm pretty sure there'll be a three-banded plover lurking about there somewhere as well. And I think all the animals now are going to be settling into the shade for the long heat of this early summer's day. And of course, gorgeous, gorgeous sounds of the summer. When you come towards a drainage system like this, in the big trees, you've got the red-chested cuckoo going. It's such a cheerful sound. It does become quite monotonous, but it's so cheerful because it says summer is really here now. Along with the mournful call of the green-spotted or the emerald-spotted wood dove going. Come down into the mud here, Seb. We've got some interesting tracks. Two interesting kinds of tracks here. In fact, three interesting kinds of tracks. One of which I'm not sure I'd like to make a call on. This one is the most difficult one to identify. Which bird is that? It's quite large. It's definitely got a back-facing foot. I'm going to go with Hardy-dar on that one. I think that's what that bird is. Over there. And then all of these little pinpricks that look like little pinpricks everywhere are actually, you can see, in little sort of rings. And the rings are because all of these little pins are in fact the claws of terrapins that have come in and out of the water. There could be tortoises as well. They're just a little bit too far, or there are too many of them here for me to discern whether they've been tortoises or terrapins. You can actually tell. Herberto, tortoise 5 claws. 5-4. 5-4 and terrapin 4-4. 5-5. 5-5. Okay. Right. So let's have a look here. Yeah, this is. I think this is a tortoise. No, they're not. They are terrapins. And if they're terrapins, we shouldn't be able to see any of these tracks with only 4 indentations or 4 spikes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think they are terrapins. 5-5. Here is the track of a Egyptian goose. Can you see that Egyptian goose there? And we know that's an Egyptian goose. No back toe, and you can see the webbing. You can see where the webbing goes. That's an Egyptian goose. Brent, you're wondering if there are any fish in here. No, there aren't. It's not big enough, I don't think, and it dries out too frequently for there ever to be fish. I'm sure that it must get seeded from time to time with fish. So possibly catfish would arrive here on either the legs of birds or in their dung or something like that. But I think it dries out far too often for them ever to establish themselves properly. The other track I wanted to show you, I think I've now stood on. No, here it is. It's over here, and this is the track of a water monitor lizard. You see it there, Seb, or am I in the light? Shall I get out the way? Let me go this side. There we go. Here is the foot, and there is the tail that's been dragging along. And you can see its feet. Where it's gone, I don't know. I suspect down to the larger water just below us. So, 3 interesting kinds of tracks there. 4 Hardy-dars, terrapins, lizards, or monitor lizards, and of course the Egyptian ghouls. Very nice. Okay, let's move along. Ben, you say, are those the largest insects in the world? Which in...
Loudest.
Oh, the loudest. Yes, I think they are. Those are the cicadas. I don't think there's any insect that can make a sound louder. There are lots of different species of a cicada, of course, and some will be louder than others. But that is what we can hear calling. Absolutely. 17 years sometimes they can stay under the ground. That's an American species of cicada. Most of them only a year under the ground, but some a bit longer than that. There was also an insect that I was investigating this year. What was it? and it was even longer than the cicada. I've forgotten entirely what it was. Somebody surely must remember. It was a very long. It lived a huge amount of time as an immature insect before it became an adult. No, it's gone. It's gone. I will try and remember it before we get home today. This is the red-chested cuckoo. Let's have a look at this marula tree here, see if there's anything to find. Here we go. Always a good idea to check marula trees this time of the year for scorpions, for nest holes, for all sorts of things. There is a nice hole here which I wouldn't put my hand into. Here we go. Just the kind of spot maybe a roller would choose to have a nest. Anyway, I don't know that there's one in there today. And of course we are eagerly awaiting the fruiting of the marulas. This is a female tree. It will produce fruit, as you can see from all the seeds on the ground there. Marvellous. Alrighty, we'll hand you back to the Mara now, to Jamie. I wonder what fresh mystery she has for us now.
Nothing. I've got nothing at the moment. Just this vague feeling like I'm some sort of bizarre Disney princess because the swallows keep swooping round me like something out of an animated film. So I'm on my way towards... Oh goodness, these swallows are making me nervous. I know they're not going to fly into me, but it's disconcerting. My peripheral vision. Go away, leave me alone. You're all very sweet, but I must be disturbing insects that they're catching. Using my slipstream. Shoo! That's quite a, what would you call it? An entourage, I guess. Why yes, swallows follow me on a daily basis. Listen here, little swallows, I'm desperately trying to get to where the cheetah is. And you're making me so nervous that I don't want to go any faster. Taking up the secret back route again to where we last had that female cheetah. I'm really hoping, because when the cubs were younger, but when she first had those two cubs, well, three actually at the beginning, she spent a large amount of time in the same place. The cubs were that much younger though. They're much older. They're better able to keep up with her now. But I would really like to see her again, and so would Manu, I imagine, because Manu was with me when we first saw them, when they were this big, tiny little fluffy creatures, and it would be really very special. We couldn't get up close to them, so we never had a good view, so it'd be nice to be able to show Manu as well, since we are going to be wandering about here all day. I hope we have some luck with her, otherwise it's going to be a lot of driving around in desperate search. So keep your fingers crossed for us. Hopefully we get lucky. I feel like I should break into song, but unfortunately, while I appear to have a Disney princess-like magnetism when it comes to birds, I don't have a Disney princess voice, and it might actually send them fleeing for the hills. They might migrate all the way back to Europe. This is bizarre. Whoa! I wonder if they're having fun doing this. Because some of them feel like they're really taunting me. Every now and again one flies and stops here and changes direction. This would definitely be another number for our Safari Live Mara musical. I've been thinking about all sorts of potential tracks in my head. I mentioned some of them a while ago. The Muddy Rodeo, the bluesy, Is That an Elephant or Am I Just Tired? Oh, there's a really lovely question from Joy. So Joy's, and it's got quite a complicated answer. So Joy's question is about relocating animals. What is involved in it? How is it done? And what animals are able to be relocated? Almost anything large. I'm going to not include fishes for now. Oh, fish for now. I'm not going to include birds for now. But relocating animals, it is a very important, it's a critical part of conservation, particularly in places like South Africa, where a large amount of the conservation space is small, enclosed, relatively small, 25,000 hectares, 15,000 hectares, however big they may be, enclosed areas, closed systems that are protected and privately owned. And when you've got a situation like that, you need to relocate animals. Then, of course, for example, you've got problem animals that tend to move into a farm, for example, and cause massive damage to livelihoods. So there's all sorts of reasons why you'd want to relocate animals. Genetics. The animals can't disperse themselves, so as a result, genetics has to be involved. Almost any large animal can be relocated. Not all of them necessarily will stay. So, for example, you can relocate a leopard if you really want to, and ideally you should try and put it somewhere where there's a little bit of a vacuum in territory, but ultimately that leopard is going to go where it wants. You cannot fence a leopard. If you are relocating something like a lion, for example, okay, here's the basic process. So, a vet will come in, preferably early in the morning, especially in the low veld when it gets very hot. The vet will come in, the animal will be located, it will be darted, and the animal will then fall asleep. It is then tested, treated, often DNA samples are taken, it is blindfolded, sedated, and put into a crate. Once it's in the crate, it'll be moved off to wherever it happens to be needed. It'll be monitored closely, constantly by the vet. There's nothing, it's happened to me before, there's nothing like having a sleeping lion in the back of a pickup truck and then it wakes up, or starts showing signs of waking up. Then you must see a vet move quickly. So they keep it sedated. Certain animals have to stand. Rhinoceros, for example, or an elephant. When they're transported sedated. Giraffe is another example, but they kept standing. And the reason behind that is obviously they can do serious damage to themselves because of their massive weight and size. It's impossible for them to stay lying down for the duration of the trip. Certain animals go through what's known as a hard release. They're released straight into the reserve, off they go, and that's that. And hopefully are monitored, sometimes with a tracking collar, but not always. Hard release, off it goes. I've done a hard release with quite a few animals, brown hyena being the one that comes to mind. That was removed off a farm. The swallows are still with me, by the way. And soft release. A soft release is when the animal is placed in a boma, or in a small enclosed area, to get it used to the area that it's in before it's released. And that can be anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months to six months. During that time, that animal is fed, it's looked after, but contact with people is kept to a minimum, obviously. You don't want a lion associating a certain vehicle, and it happens, unfortunately, with food. The sound, the color, it all plays a role, and those are considerations that have to be thought about. So lions often go through soft releases. Rhino, soft release as well, especially when they're testing them to make sure that they are healthy after a long trip. It's something that happened in Rwanda recently, where they actually moved Rhino across from South Africa, which is really very lovely, re-released back into Rwanda. It's a complicated answer, Joy, and there's a lot more to talk about, but I could actually bore people to death going on about this because I've done quite a few animal relocations. So while I catch my breath and enjoy the company of the swallows, Brent has got something lovely to show you. He's found the Musketeers.
Yes, we have. So we got a report while we were sitting with that female cheetah that the Musketeers were not far. And so we dashed here. As you can see, there's plenty of animals around them. They also are still hungry. They don't look like they've caught anything since that little baby impala yesterday. And they are surrounded by wildebeest and zebra at the moment. So a very good potential for the rest of the day. So you can see how quickly our plans can change depending on what's happening around us. And you never know what's going to happen next on a live African safari. Not too far away from here is where we saw the lions earlier this morning eating that wildebeest. So I wonder, did the Musketeers catch that wildebeest and the lions take it from them? If so, shame, boys. Unlucky. It's been quite a cool morning with a lot of cloud cover. The sun is just breaking through, giving us this golden light. Well, not quite golden, but still gorgeous light. And as I say, lots of potential prey around. Now, they are going to probably get up and move in the next little while, especially as the sun starts getting warmer. They're not anywhere near any cover. So unless they catch something, they are going to move towards some cover. Here we go, you can see. Oh, yeah, I think the lion stole that wildebeest from them this morning. See how jumpy they are. Probably about 1 kilometer or so from here. It pays to be jumpy as a cheetah with the amount of lions there are on the Mara. Oh, that is beautiful. You can see those empty bellies that are definitely going to need to be fed. Remember, this is live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. Hashtag Safari Live if you have any questions for us. Robert is wondering, has there any been change in the hierarchical stature of the Musketeers and who is the leader? And so it's very difficult to see at the moment. D'Artagnan seems to be a little bit more dominant over the others at the moment. As I say, it's still quite a new coalition. They haven't quite set all the rules just yet, and I think that's only going to come when they start breeding and a female and estrus comes about. Then I think whether they stay together or split up will become quite apparent, and who becomes the dominant. Oh, Tommy, what are you doing? Have you seen this cheetah here while you are jogging around? Must have. There's little Tommy. And he's definitely spotted them. Look at that tail. It's like a windscreen wiper on full, but not keeping away water, keeping away flies. And the little leg stamp to go with keeping away the flies, and the air flick. It's got all the fly repellents going at once, that little Tommy. No, there's cheetah here. I'm out of here. Just going to have a stop, quick look back, make sure that they are not chasing me. No, he's going to keep going. Well, it's been a big cat morning for Jahawi and I. Lions, 2 different sets of cheetah. Lewis says you can hear the stomachs growling from here. They are hungry. And I think when the cloud cover comes over again, which it looks like it will, they might get up and start moving. Now, you might hear the odd smack. That's me trying to keep the flies out of my face. The problem about being around lots of wildebeest and zebra is there's a lot of flies that go with it. Now, where we left the cheetah yesterday was not far from here. Probably about a kilometer directly behind them, behind where those wildebeest are. So they did change the direction that we left them moving in. Sharon's wondering, do we ever see overweight animals? Well, occasionally we'll see overweight cheetah and lion and leopard and hyena, but that's when they've gorged themselves. Animals wouldn't survive out here. They would get eaten very quickly and cause overweightness in the lions. But again, with their very fast metabolisms, those big bellies that they get after a good feed don't last for too long. Oh yeah, well, we're going to sit here and wait for them to get up and get moving. While we do that, I'm afraid I'm not sure where we're sending you, but we're sending you somewhere.
To me! He's sending you to me! I'm the only other person out at the moment. I think the Djuma team have retired for the morning. So Brent's got his cheetah. He's going to sit there for the rest of the morning. I can't believe the speed with which this morning has flown by, because I was sort of planning on being here about an hour ago, and it hasn't quite worked out that way. I blame the juvenile snake eagle for that. So we've got to the outcrop where the Salt Lick Pride love to spend their time. There's a young male that's around here a lot. There's the kinky-tailed lioness, and hopefully somewhere around here the female cheetah with her cubs. Now, the plan for the day is to find her, but it's quite a big place to search for one cheetah. It's hard enough finding 5, but searching for one is a tricky business. I've still got my swallows, by the way. They love us. They're our new friends. If by the sunset safari I'm still driving around with an accompaniment of swallows. Aqua, what a lovely comparison. That's a really lovely comparison. So Aqua's comparing them, those swallows, don't do that to me. The swallows to the Mara equivalent of dolphins playing in the bow wave of the car. They're loving us. Oh, we can't have that much of a slipstream. I'm not going that fast. I'm sort of meandering in second gear. But they really obviously are particularly appreciative of our company. I know rationally I'm not going to hit one, but sometimes they dive under the wheels and I can't see where they've gone, and it's quite terrifying. Hello, giraffe. You're not what I was expecting to see here. Have you seen a lion? Or a cheetah? Barbara will find out. No, the swallows won't land on the car while we've stopped. But you never know. Perhaps once we've had a look at this giraffe, you'll look back at me and I'll just be covered in birds, like something out of a Hitchcock film. But no, they won't. Swallows very seldom land, actually. Just in terms of their foot structure. They're not very good perchers and they're not very good landers. So a giraffe staring out across the windy expanse of the Mara, right in the area where I was thinking perhaps there might be a lion, or a cheetah actually. They both enjoy a spot like this. It's a very good hiding place. But the fact that the giraffe is as relaxed as he is, and not staring across into the distance, suggests otherwise. Posing. Just for us. Shaking away the odd oxpecker. Why did I say it was a male? Just the thickness of the ossicones. Young male, so they're still tufted, but most definitely male. He's still got some growing to do. Not at full maturity yet. Wouldn't you know it, it's windy in the Mara today. Better duck my head, otherwise all you're going to hear is wind. Oh dear, Kirst. I don't know why our comms are really bad today. I heard Emily. I think it was Emily. Ah, how's the weather? The weather is cold, windy, cloudy, perfect for being out all day. Because while a nice sunny day is lovely for us, it usually means that we spend a lot of time with sleepy cats. Whereas if we're out all day and we've got a cold and windy day, it might be a little bit tiring on the soul and certainly drying on the lips, but it is really good hunting weather. I was ruminating. You see that? Chewing a mouthful of cud. Giving us the close examination of a giraffe. They are highly proficient when it comes to staring contests. In fact, I dare you to try and enter into a staring competition with a giraffe. He's bowing to you, inviting you into a challenge of a stare down. It's starting to get warmer though. The clouds are dissipating, the sun is coming out. You can see now the colours of the giraffe really coming out. Okay, we're going to leave our giraffe, go off in search of our spotted cat. Let's go across to Brent's, whose spotted cats are up.
Well, welcome everyone. The Musketeers are on the move and they're walking towards this herd of zebras. Rebecca and Kirsten, I think let's go onto an action broadcast. There are some foals that we didn't see earlier, and the Musketeers seem to be just pushing this little herd, quite a big herd actually, seeing if there's any sign of weakness. Welcome everyone. Welcome. The Musketeers, we found them. They're pushing a herd of zebra, seeing if there's any weakness and looking for foals. And there are a few small foals in the herd. Look at that, you can see he's looking for the foals that are right at the back of the herd, trying to separate it from the mom. Isn't this absolutely incredible? But the zebras have done a good job to get away this time. Now, are they going to continue to push towards the zebras, or are they going to move on to see if there's anything else? Is that a baby topi? Where are my binoculars? If they spot a baby topi, they're definitely going to go make an attempt at that. It's not a baby topi. So at the moment, they just tried to see if there was any weakness in this herd of zebra. Now, remember, there are 5 of these cheetah, but a full-grown adult zebra would still probably be too powerful and too strong for them. hello everyone, we're with the 5 Musketeers, and they've just attempted to hunt some zebra, unfortunately not successfully, and they've just managed to plop down now. So what they did is they openly and brazenly walked towards the herd of zebra, looking for any signs of weakness. There are a few young zebra there. A big zebra would be a little bit too tough, even for 5 cheetah to take down. But they are hungry. It doesn't look like they've caught anything since we left them last night. So they're on the move and on the hunt. Now, it looks like after that unsuccessful hunt, this one is going back to join the other 4 who have decided to take it a little bit easy. Let's just see what happens next. Okay, we're just going to wait for that cheetah to get towards the other 4. You can see there they are there, and then we'll move a little bit closer. Now you're going to go flop down. Kayleen's wondering, do I see any weaknesses within the zebra herd? Kayleen, I didn't. But of course, the cheetah will sometimes pick up tiny little weaknesses that we can't see. But I didn't see any obvious weaknesses amongst the zebra herd that the cheetah could take advantage of. Here we go. Going to flop down. Flop. Okay, let's get a little bit closer. Oh, hello, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I've got Jahawi on camera, and we are live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. Dina would like to know, are there any babies within that zebra herd? Yes, Dina. Not really small babies, sort of sub-adults, which would fall within the cheetah's sphere of prey. But fortunately for the zebra, unfortunately for the cheetah, the zebra were well aware of what was going on. So there we go. And the zebra herd has calmed down now. They're not too perturbed. Joshua is wondering, could these cheetah take down a baby giraffe like a leopard did recently on the other side of the Mara? Yes, Joshua, they would be very much capable of taking a baby giraffe. But of course, when hunting baby giraffe, the most dangerous thing is the mom, and those long legs can provide some serious damage if she manages to connect a kick. Now, as I said, the boys are hungry. There's a very good chance they're going to get up and on the move again in the next little while and head off to see if they can catch some breakfast. Hopefully before it gets too warm. If it gets too warm, they might go find a convenient bush to have a nap under. But I think this zebra herd is safe for now. Shelley is wondering if any more male cheetah will join this coalition of 5. No, Shelley, I don't think any will more. The coalition, there's a very short period after they become independent from their mothers where they will join up with other males. These guys are too old now, and they would probably kill another male that tried to join their coalition. They have already killed a single male cheetah that they came across, so I don't think there will be any more cheetah joining the coalition. The only thing is that they might split up if competition for mating and for food becomes too fierce amongst the 5. And the wind is starting to pick up now. Yesterday was very windy. I was hoping today it wasn't going to be quite as windy. You can see the zebra, some of the zebra slowly moving away. So this time it was unsuccessful as the Musketeers attempted to hunt some zebra, but it could be successful in the next little while. You never know when we're going to go live again, so keep a lookout for our action broadcasts. From Jahawi and myself, hopefully we'll be seeing you with the Musketeers a little later. Oh, it's going to be an exciting day, I think, as we play the patience game with the Musketeers yet again. Hopefully we will get rewarded today, and hopefully they don't keep us going for too long. We've still got to get home at some point today. It's a long way away, but that's what I say. We're out here on their schedule, not on ours, and that's the joy of doing what we do in the Masai Mara. One is up. I think they made the wrong decision. There were wildebeest around, zebra, and they went after the zebra instead of the wildebeest. I think the wildebeest would have been a much better bet. Now let's hope the wind stays as a gentle breeze like this today, rather than getting wants to know what's the largest known cat coalition. The largest known cat coalition of cheetah is 5, and it's the exact 5 we're sitting with at the moment. With lions, there have been some very big coalitions. But generally what happens with those bigger coalitions is they split up. So when they're quite young, sort of 2 to 4 years old, you can get very big coalitions of male lions. The largest I've ever heard of is 9. But what happens as they get older and the competition for mating gets that much more fierce, they tend to split into 5 and 4. Generally, excuse me, as an average thing, a really big male lion coalition is 4 or 5. Very seldom will there be 6. And I haven't heard of a time. Zebras moving off. Some of them are just hanging about behind them. But it is wonderful to watch them over these short grass plains in the Eastern Mara National Reserve. Oh, there's a lion. So there's some elephants over there, and just to the left of the elephants, on top of the, oh, not on top of the ridge, there we go. There's a male and what looks to be a lioness in the distance. Oh, cheetahs, be careful, don't go that way. So I was just having a quick pan around with my binoculars and spotted them. Now we are coming towards the end of the sunrise safari. Jahawi and I will be out here for the majority of the day, hoping that the Musketeers get up to something. So remember, keep a lookout for those action broadcasts on whatever platform you do watch on, because you never know what can happen when you're live in the African bush. So from Jahawi, myself, and the rest of the Safari Live crew, adieu, goodbye till just now.